Hello, Facebook friends. Well, I am out in the street. I'm on Bacon Street in North St. Louis, and I'm out with the new Life Evangelistic Center, and they are supplying food and warmers and other items to people to help them deal with being out here on the streets. And you can kind of see what's going on here as they hand out items that people will need, water and other things that people will need to survive. One of the things that they were showing me, though, is how people are pitching tents in various places in neighborhoods because they simply don't have other places to live. So you can see the tents right there. Let's see if we can see down here. Where there are houses on this block, a lot of the houses are being torn down. And so what's happening is that people are pitching the tents out here because, one, not having another place to go. Not only there, but if we look, let me walk across the street here. We can look across the street here and we can see some more tents. And so this is, I guess, becoming pretty popular all around St. Louis, where people who don't have houses are actually pitching the tents to live in that are right next to homes. And so they're pitching tents that are right next to homes, basically, because they do not have a place to live. We're going to talk to Reverend Larry Rice about that, because they bring food, basically, and other items to people who are living in those tents. And that's, like he said, it's a lot of it because of folks not having affordable housing to live in and not being able to afford to live, to find a place to live. And so, or having to resort to tents pitched in neighborhoods. You can see the homes right there. And there you can see right next door, you can see those tents. And so they go to different places all around the community, giving out the various items, water and other items for people to use. We're going to talk to Reverend Rice. Reverend, let me tell you, I wanted to talk to you essentially about what's going on in these neighborhoods with these tents. Can you tell us what's happening?
Okay, this is going to be the new normal in the future if things don't quickly reverse. People cannot afford any longer to live in present conditions, pay their light bill, pay their gas bill, and pay their rent that's escalating. You don't see this side of it. You don't see the Chamber of Commerce. You don't see others talking about this part of it. As they go into with gentrification, as gentrification continues to sweep throughout our communities, more people that can't afford it are having to move into tents. And we're finding this scattered out. Yes, we have the big encampments that we frequently cover with the pallet yard and the rail building, but our teams that are out every day, they're constantly looking for those that are having to be outside. And as you move into the neighborhoods now, you're finding that people are moving out of their houses into tents because that's all they can afford. They don't know where to go. The misplaced priorities in our communities. Forget about these individuals. We can't just cater to the upper income. We can't just cater to the gentrification needs. What we have to do is create it and have to help the people that are suffering.
So why are more people moving into these tents?
Because they can't, number one, if they got an eviction, they can't find a place anymore. Number two, if they don't have an eviction, they have to come up first and last month's rent. Number three, places that used to rent for $300-400 a month are now $800, $1,000, $1,200 a month. And so this is the only way that they can survive. We're feeding more and more people than ever before. Water, we can't keep enough supply, buy water at the cases and food. People are hungry out here. We're showing them, by the way, how to stay warm by breaking up cardboard. You have one of those containers with the cardboard in it and the like?
Yeah, let me see it.
Grabbed it right away. This is the new way. Okay, Tony, come explain this to them a little bit, how we're doing this.
Yeah, what you do is you take the alcohol and you pour it inside here, and the alcohol wicks up through the cardboard, and then you light the cardboard, and it acts as a wick. It burns for several hours, actually.
Yeah, sometimes 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, it's a safer way to heat.
Okay.
Than propane. And this is also a cheaper way, too, so we save a lot of money. And they're sure grabbing them up here. Out here,
yeah, it's a good way to get the cardboard up off streets as well.
So this keeps them warm?
Yes, sir.
It keeps the tent warm for a number of hours. And this is we're making these, and
Dump a bottle of alcohol.
yeah, right. So they've been grabbing them up here as fast as we can put them out. Looks like people are on in need.
So again, you're saying you're seeing more people living in these tents?
Yes, more people living in the tents that are scattered throughout our city. Now, frequently, neighbors, if they start complaining too much, the police then ask them to move on. And our next question is, okay, they've moved on. Where do they go? So when we scout out a few more blocks, go a few more blocks, a few more miles, sometimes out, we find the same people. They just move from place to place, but they pick up their tent and away they go.
So mainly they come to the poorer neighborhoods.
Yes.
To do this. Obviously, they can't go to Ladue and pitch a tent.
No.
They haven't. People haven't done it yet.
No.
So in other words, nobody's going to Ladue and Chesterfield and Town and Country and pitching tents in the neighborhood.
Right, but as things get worse and worse, you're going to start seeing that. You're going to see already more and more people living in vacant buildings than you had in the past. LRA was one of the biggest slumlords out there.
But
that
again, we're still talking about the city.
The city.
And we're still talking about poorer
But
neighborhoods.
we find this in the county. We find people, they just have to hide in the county. I asked a person where he's staying, and he gave me the neighborhood, and he said, anywhere I can find a place to hide. Okay. So they just have to hide better out in the county is what they have to do.
Okay.
But the numbers are growing. I mean, I've been at this 53 years, and have never seen people like this that are just having to move into tents in their neighborhoods. And not only in the city, we've talked a lot about the city, but out in the county the same way.
Really?
Yeah, out in the county.
So you've seen people pitching the tents out in the county?
Usually they find a little patch of wood, so go behind that. They go into a building, a vacant building, but they're out there. On St. Charles, out along the river. A lot of them got flooded out when the floods came out this year. They're living in the rivers there off the Katy Trail. Off the Katy Trail, a lot of homeless people living out there.
Explain that. What happened out there?
In the Katy Trail, I found a lot of them. I used to do some walks down the Katy Trail. And as I going down the Katy Trail, I'd have homeless people would come out. I'd meet them. I'd see them. And what happened is that they were living back there along the river. And then when the river flooded, they had to come out of there. There was one case in St. Charles County Jail. They locked the man up, and they weren't going to let him out until they found a place to stay. So we've been working some with that man. But yeah, that's what's happening.
So people who actually had homes or apartments or something at one point in time, now forced out to the street? Is that
I moved into the neighborhoods, setting up their tents that are out here, trying to survive. They've had apartments at one time, but they can't afford an apartment anymore. So again, these are the American refugees. We hear so much about migrants, but we don't realize that how many are right here in our own country. We have so many. It's a growing problem that's getting really bad.
So what needs to be done?
Well, again, if you talk to politicians, they'll talk about long-term solution. But that's wonderful, that's great. But you have to go all the way with where the people are at. And that's why when I was up to City Hall the other day when you were over there, they talk about long-term solutions and they see a Band-Aid. No, you have to work with the Band-Aid. You have to work with the places for people to survive. Then you build a relationship. Then with the relationships, then you try to work with them to get into affordable housing, or like you're building relationships out here temporarily in hotels, but that's so expensive. And try to break this cycle. We're working on some long-term things while we're out here doing these emergency situations, building these relationships.
What has the city not done? What is the current administration not done?
First of all,
for the problem?
I refer to it as being dysfunctional, because what happens is that they'll say, well, we're doing this for affordable housing, and they'll get a few units over here and that. They're not preserving, number one, the affordable housing we have. And it takes a lot cheaper and a lot better to save the affordable housing we have presently than to build a unit for $80,000, $90,000. A few thousand could help low-income landlords to help make the repairs that are necessary. Give them a hand up, not just slap them down with all these notices. We want quality housing, but give them a hand up. Let them have a place that they can get some help to keep the affordable housing going. In addition to that, what we need to do is help people right where they're at. If they're cold right now, get a warming bus. They need shelter, give it to them. But not just at night, put them back out. Build relationships with the individuals and help them. I have a number of staff out here. All those staff were homeless at one time. So what we do is we train them. The vast majority of people working in our place were homeless at one time, and then what we do is we try to...
And let me say, this is Reverend Larry Rice with New Life Evangelistic Center, and they have been doing this for 50 years that I know about, coming out with the homeless, providing food and providing other means necessary for survival. And I've been covering up during my time in television for more than 45 years. I was out there covering them because we knew you could always rely on them because if it was too cold, they'd be out there supplying blankets and everything else. If it was too hot, they'd be out there giving people air conditioners and doing everything they can. So they have been really out here on the front lines for like a half a century.
We definitely have, and again, we're going to be celebrating that 53 years. And I just want to put a plug in on March 8th. You're getting our social media award that night. A lot of the staff are going to be there. People are going to be there. It's a free banquet having at Orlando's, and the people call us at 314-421-3020. Go to the website at nlecstl.org. That's nlecstl.org. They can register. They can come out. They can meet the people previously homeless. They can hear a vital vision we have for the future. We're laying a vision out that is going to actually, in the greater St. Louis area, have a place for people to go during the day, break the cycle of homelessness, and then actually have a vision for a community of refuge where people can come in.
And you decided to give me an award. What was behind that?
Well, that's because you're out here covering the homeless. We used to have a KNLC Channel 24. We don't anymore. You stepped up and filled the gap. You're out doing stories like this day and night after you've retired, and we've never done this before, but I just felt strongly led that here's a man that's out here, and we want to give him the Social Media Award, the first NLEC Social Media Award, and that's because of the fact you are taking these issues to the people and doing a much better job than any media in St. Louis. And while we see other media that's really struggling, like the Post-Dispatch, that can't cover these issues, you've stepped into that gap at this time. I look forward to you being out there with us on March 8th, the great banquet. Going to share a vision for the future. And again, people can register. It's free at nlecstl.org. That's nlecstl.org. We've got a lot of people registering. We've still got a lot of open places. Or call 314-421-3020. You're going to be there that day. I'll be there that day. We're going to have our staff out there that have previously were homeless. A lot of them were homeless last year. They've been getting training, and they're helping many more.
The problem is worse than ever right now.
It's getting increasingly worse.
Are we seeing people, kind of a new homeless? People who've never been homeless finding themselves out on the street.
People have never been homeless. A lot of the people I'm working with never been homeless before. I think a lot of people are afraid to deal with this particular issue because they say, I'm only one paycheck away. They don't want to think about it, but we can't stick our head in the sand any longer. Drive down the streets right now. There's more people out panhandling than I've ever seen before. And they're not panhandling, and the majority of them, there may be a few, but the majority are panhandling for a place to sleep that night. A man I helped the other night, I gave him a few dollars, so I still need 40 more for a place to sleep tonight. Every night, apartments have gone up in cost. We're seeing places that people stay at nights. Those have gone up from $40, $50 to $80, $100 a night. So, you've got all of those hotels that have gone up. So people are really being strangled. They're on every corner just trying to have a place to survive.
What happened? What went wrong? Why are we seeing this problem now that 50 years ago I didn't see people out on the street in downtown St. Louis? Of course, you guys are open with your New Life Evangelistic Center, and they gave people a place to go.
Yes, it did. Until they shut that down. Now we are having it.
The city shut it down.
The city shut
Mayor
it down.
Francis Slay shut it down.
Yes.
Mayor Lyda Cruson would not reopen it.
Here.
And Mayor Tashara Jones would not reopen it either.
No.
What impact do you think shutting down your New Life Evangelistic Center building, what impact did
that was a low barrier walk-in shelter. What we mean by that is you don't have to jump through all these hoops to get help. Anybody who was homeless, the police had a place to drop them off, hospitals could send them, and as a result, when they shut our place down, we just had to move out on the streets with the people. That's what we're doing every day. We have safe houses, but you have to go through a lot more. We have to have them call. We have to.
What was the impact of shutting down your building?
It's hundreds and hundreds of people out on the streets. And that's where they're at right now. Hundreds of people are out on the streets, and we're trying to. I'd love right now if I knew a place. Just tell me a place that I can get a building, and you can tell me where I can get a building, but that I can open it with this present plat and petition. I mean, yes, I have a real problem with our existing mayor, but her top contender, if she didn't vote when they wanted to do a plat petition, she went with the rich folks. So you don't have much choice out here anymore. But the fact of the matter is that you've got people with mental health issues. We used to have Malcolm Bliss State Hospital. That's been closed down. You got people that have alcohol problems. There's no place that they can do. We expect the police to be the psychiatrist, sociologist, but where are they going to take them? I mean, they encounter these people day after day. Affordable housing, it's gone skyrocketing. That's out there. It can be very depressing. But I have to look at these people I have working with me and others that are here whose lives have changed. They end up homeless one at a time. We're trying to help them one at a time.
So what about the people who were not? What are you seeing on the new homeless? You're saying you're seeing senior citizens, more of them out here. What types of people are you seeing?
Okay, this fentanyl has taken its toll on people. Fentanyl has done a lot to strip people of their dignity, self-worth, they lost everything. They end up out here. Before, when I first got involved with this, you had elderly white men that would usually travel, they call them hobos or whatever, with alcohol problem out there. Then we saw the phenomenon of women and children coming in. And then when you're in this community, now you see the African-American community tremendous impact. So people that deny the whole aspect of racism, just look at the majority of the people in St. Louis are African-American. Now I have something totally different in Springfield. There I have mostly Caucasian. But when it's all one and the same, people are suffering, people are hurting, and there's been a lot of changes going on in the last 53 years. The biggest problem is that when we used to go into neighborhoods, we set up, we'd start helping people. Everybody'd say, hey, that's wonderful, you're here. Now, not in my backyard. And the epitome of it all is what the present mayor has done by putting fences around City Hall and the parks around there. It's like she's totally endorsed that, and it clearly says not in my backyard. I don't want my backyard where I live. I don't want my office. I don't want to see them. So it puts a fence all the way up to keep. So it's a slap in the face.
And this is Mayor Tashara Jones.
No other mayor has done that. In spite of all the things they've done, it's put a fence all the way around, and that's how they deal with the problem of the homeless.
What's your thoughts about that?
I think it's you talk about you know, the new N word in America is homeless, and what it is people see green, but that's the big thing they look at, and so it affects both black, white, African American, African American, Hispanic, Caucasian, whatever. So when the people went there to try to get help and bring it to her attention, how'd she solve it? She put a fence all the way around.
This Mayor Tashara Jones.
And they really think the people in St. Louis are stupid. It says closed for renovation. It's been closed since October of 2023. So, I mean, people aren't stupid, but people visiting town think, oh, okay, they're renovating. They don't realize that it's there because of the homeless. And she did that, because she doesn't want the people there. She was embarrassed. And she didn't want to see the problem. So now she don't have to see it there. But she's going to see it more and more if she drives through these neighborhoods. And you're going to see them every time you stop at somewhere for light. And again, it's not only a city problem. I agree with her on this basis. It is a regional problem. St. Louis County doesn't even admit it exists, but the people are out there more and more and more, and they're out there. They're just keeping them out of sight and out of mind a little better.
And St. Charles County.
Oh, St. Charles is really.
St. Charles,
but you got the mayor of St. Charles County. He said that he wants to use some of these funds he's gotten to address his homeless problem. So at least he's been honest about it.
He did. Mayor Borgmeyer. I know Dan Borgmeyer. He was actually pretty adamant, and he was committed to this. He really wanted to do it. Set up a homeless center in St. Charles.
Well, at least he's talking
in the
about
city
it.
of St. Charles. I didn't mean to say St. Charles County, but the city of St. Charles.
Right, and he's willing to do it. They have a serious problem too. We see that all the time.
Mayor Borgmeyer, I think he wanted to spend millions to set up a center to help the homeless.
And I believe he still does. But the fact is that the people have to get behind these politicians. The people have to make it a mandate. How many people are going to these mayoral debates and saying, tell us what you're going to do for the homeless? How many are doing that? They're not. So unless people recognize that this is going to be the new normal in their community, tents on this side of the street, tents on the other side of the street, people down the street, people's lives being broken, people getting caught in what I refer to as a cycle of homelessness. The better they get at surviving out here, the harder it is to actually get them off the streets because they know where to go to get direct help. We're trying to break that cycle. We have training centers out in New Bloomfield, Missouri, Marshfield, Missouri. We have staff that we put to work. But again, it's like shoveling the ocean with a teaspoon.
Reverend, thank you.
God bless you.
Thank
Hey,
you
again,
for your
folks, I really want to encourage you to register. This is like a great opportunity. March 8th, I'll be there with all the staff. Elliot's going to be there. He's going to get the first social media award. It's free. All you have to do is call 314-421-3020 or register online at nlecstl.org. And then we're going to also got copies of our New Life Zoe free paper. Elliot's featured in the next issue. This issue just has come off the press. He's got a tremendous testimony, a love of God. I mean, we give people an opportunity to put it to work, so they don't want to miss this.
All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Reverend. Okay, so there you've heard Reverend Larry Rice. He's the head of New Life Evangelistic Center. Right now, they are giving food and other items to people who are out here. We're on Bacon Street in North St. Louis right now, and he wanted to bring me out to the community so he could show me where people are setting up tents in the community. So it's not just the major tent cities, but people are setting up these tents in neighborhoods many times because they have no place to go. And then you see right across the street, you can see some more tents right there that people have set up. And he's saying this is just one location, many of them in poorer communities that people have set up tents because they can't afford to go any place else. And so they are out on the streets, and this is all they can afford were these tents, and so this is where they are. It's a challenge. He says the city is not doing enough to deal with it. He blames the problem, much of it, on lack of affordable housing as well as other issues. But he says that not enough is being done in St. Louis to help the people who have fallen into homelessness. And so what they are doing is coming to neighborhoods. Well, in St. Louis City, you'll see a lot of really vacant areas. And so people can setting up tents in some of these vacant areas and vacant lots that you can, let me see if I can do it real quick. Let's see. There we are. You can see in these vacant lots, this is one such area where you can see, as far as you can see, just vacant lots all the way down there, just empty blocks, basically. You can look just right across the street and just see all this vacant land. And so what happened is that many people are coming to neighborhoods like this and are setting up tents because, as Reverend Rice says, they have no place else to go. And so this is it. They can't afford housing or affordable housing being an issue. But that is where this is what is going on right now in this community. You recall Larry Rice and his homeless shelter, New Life Evangelistic Center, that was shut down by Mayor Francis Slay. It had room for hundreds of homeless people who were staying there, who lived in it, had all kinds of programs available for people. It was in the city, 1411 Locust, but it was shut down by Mayor Francis Slay. He was not allowed to reopen by Mayor Lyda Crewson, wouldn't allow him to reopen it. Mayor Tashara Jones would not allow him to reopen it either. And so a place that had provided a spot for hundreds of homeless were shut down. And so we look at, even with this cold weather that we had, guys, we look at that many people were outside trying to survive the extremely cold weather when we had a building, the New Life Evangelistic Center, that was shut down by the city that could have been a place for all those people, and they didn't need to be out there. And so people often will tell me, well, why don't we convert some schools or abandoned buildings and build those into shelters for the homeless? And I always say, but we have a building downtown that Reverend Larry Rice wanted to use his own money to restore that building and restore to what it's been for half a century. That's a center for the homeless. So we didn't really need to reinvent the wheel, except he could not get permission from the city to do it. The city shut it down. It was a space for hundreds of beds for the homeless. The city shut it down because I think some apartment owners didn't like the homeless in downtown St. Louis. And so the city began moving to get the homeless from downtown St. Louis, but now they're still there. They're just spread out all over. And so the city essentially made the situation worse for St. Louis than better. And so a lot of them ultimately started staying across the street in front of City Hall. They pitched tents in front of City Hall and at the parks across from City Hall. Mayor Tashara Jones had that area fenced in, and the homeless were run off from that area. They were in municipal courts. They were run off from that area. So the whole thing is, I guess, not seeing the homeless downtown, but so you will see them in various places. So wherever they've tried to go in near the government centers, the city has run them off. And so as opposed to dealing with a solution to solve the problem, the city of St. Louis, under this administration, under Tashara Jones' administration, have simply run them off. And so where have they come? Well, into neighborhoods like this, where they've pitched tents in the neighborhood. That's where the situation is now. There's nobody's figuring out any real solution to this problem. And so neighborhoods really are going to more and more feel the impact. I am going to stay out here working on this. New Life is going to give me an award for my activism and work on the homeless issue, and so I'm certainly proud of that. But the big thing is that there is a lot of work ahead, and that we cannot get our public officials really to do all that was necessary, even though the city of St. Louis got $500 million in ARPA funds, pandemic funds, and they had $297 million in Rams settlement money. So it's not like they didn't have the money, because they did, but they chose not to do very much to deal with the issue of homelessness in St. Louis. I'm going to stay on top of this, my Facebook friends.